Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you now something the likes of which you've never seen before. The most dangerous combination of professional sports. The skill, the strength, the stamina, and the ability of two men blended together as one. The most exciting combination in the history of professional wrestling. Twin sons of different mothers.
Chris Adams and Mike Currents.
At BodySlam competition.
Hello everybody, and thanks for joining us here at BodySlam the competition. We're episode 26 of our podcast, everybody. It's episode 26. No one thought we'd be around this long, probably, but guess what? We are here, and we are here to stay. Mike, tell them about it.
That's right. We're not going anywhere anytime soon, so you better just get used to it, because we're the best thing going, baby.
Oh, man. Yeah, episode 26. Today we're going to be talking strictly pretty much a Raw deal this week, all WWE. The past 2 weeks we've tried to tackle all the shows, call it inexperience, call it what you want, but there's no way of really covering all these shows an hour long spill here, and it got hard to do it, and no one's going to watch a 2-hour show. So what we're going to do from this point forward, we're going to cover mainly the WWE, and we're going to cover the highlights. The biggest highlight probably of each show: Ring of Honor, Lucha Underground, NXT, WWE Raw, SmackDown, and pretty much let that be it. We'll cover any extra news that's newsworthy as well, such as this week we'll be touching on China passing away, and I don't know if we mentioned last week Balls Mahoney passing away as well. If we didn't, he's gone to a cardiac arrest, I believe it was, at a young age. We also have happened a change of title ownership in the NXT, and we'll touch on that in a few minutes as well. But first and foremost, we want to jump right on top of Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw this week was, I thought, a pretty entertaining show. And the highlight of the show for me, Gallows and his buddy jumping Roman Reigns and leaving him laying as AJ Styles watches from the top of the ramp, because you get a look at AJ Styles and he's got this "what in the world are you doing" look on his face. Why are you jumping on him? Now we're left wondering, is it an act by AJ? Did he send them to the ring? Or what? Mike, what do you think is going on here? Do you think AJ Styles is truly involved?
I wouldn't put anything past Styles, to be honest with you, Chris. But I don't know, the look of bewilderment was genuine.
Right, it looked like he wasn't sure what in the world was going on. He just had a confrontation with Roman Reigns in the ring, and they were talking, like they were. You get the little smack talk before. It's normal. We're used to it. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the greatest, I'm going to beat the greatest. That's all that's going to happen. And then he leaves, and then they come in and they attack him. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, they're two tough individuals. They look rough and tough in there. They took Roman Reigns out just like that, down.
Oh, yeah. Old Festus has changed since he's been in the WWE last.
Festus has definitely changed. I looked him up. I looked up Festus. I completely forgot Festus, and I don't know, probably for good reason, because it wasn't that great. But he is definitely a changed wrestler, a better gimmick, and this suits him just fine. Now, I want to touch on something. I'm going to jump ahead, since this kind of goes hand in hand here with what we're talking about. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and cover a small bit of NXT before we complete Raw. Samoa Joe has won the title from Finn Balor at a house event show. Now, how often does this happen at a house of show? Do you see the main title switch hands? You might see a tag title or a smaller lightweight championship, or like an intercontinental belt from WWE or something smaller might exchange hands at one of these places, and usually one right back the next night at a different city or something. I don't think they're going to do that with this. I think this was done on purpose, and I think it was released and promoted online all over social media for a reason, and that's because a long time back there were rumors, as they were talking about bringing in the Bullet Club, Mike, that they were going to bring them in and not use the name or moniker Bullet Club because they didn't want to repeat the mistake they made with the NWO. NWO ran big in WCW and fizzled out for good reason, and we all know what that is. We're not going to go back and beat that dead horse. But they brought it into WWE with Nash and Hall and Hogan, and thought they could make something with it. Added Shawn Michaels to the mix, and I can't remember. I think X-Pac came back as well, and there was 5 now. It probably could have gone out of control if they hadn't canned it when they did. But I don't think they would make that same mistake twice. And it was rumored that they would have Finn Balor come up to the main roster, Mike, and call it the Balor Club. What do you think about that?
So wait a minute. What you're telling me, Chris, is that back in the backstage area of WWE, somebody looked at the past and said, "Man, we screwed up. We brought over the NWO and we totally screwed it up. We don't want to make that same mistake again. So we're going to change the first name of the stable so we don't screw up again."
Exactly. Screwed the pooch. That's what I think they did the first time around. And I think somebody finally stepped up and recognized it, and I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Shane McMahon. Maybe it was Triple H behind the scenes. Maybe Vince still has a little bit of stuff left in that grapefruit up there, and it's not completely gone, you know. There's a little bit of ripeness left up in there, and he realized he messed up last time, and this time he doesn't want to do it. He wants to bring some more excitement back to his pet project, his show, Raw, Monday Night Raw.
But you're just going to replace AJ Styles with Finn Balor and change the first part of the name.
Sometimes
they're making the same mistake again.
You know, sometimes that's all it takes, man. A small change in the way it looks. You got a different wrestler in Finn Balor with similar styles as AJ Styles has, a different last name, Baylor. I mean, Bullet, Balor. They don't sound alike, but it's the Bullet Club, the Balor Club. Whether they call it the Balor Club remains to be seen, and whether it actually comes to happen remains to be seen. We may be wrong, or I may be wrong in speculating this along with some other people online, and they may come up and AJ Styles is playing them for fools and they're doing the Bullet Club, and they're going to start tearing things up, and next thing you know, we may see the Young Bucks pour in or something too. Who knows? Although I think the Young Bucks did sign a Ring of Honor contract, so that's probably not going to happen.
I wouldn't put it past the WWE to change Carl Anderson's name to Jesse, and we'll be hearing biscuits and gravy again.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Festus Gallows and Jesse Anderson, biscuits and gravy.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. You look like you're all for it though, so I don't know.
Not really. I wasn't for it when they did it. I think it was really a disgraceful kind of gimmick. I don't know. You had Luke Gallows, who's this great big, gigantic guy, and you made him act like Curly on Punch Drunk, the episode of the Three Stooges. Where he hears the bell and he goes crazy and get the cheese, Mo, get the cheese. So, and then of course Jesse was Gordy's son, right?
I don't remember.
I do believe Jesse was Terry Bam Bam Gordy's kid. So they wasted that opportunity there as well. They put him in as the smiling inbred innuendo from West Virginia, and had his buddy the mental.
You took all my fun, man. You stole the wind right out of my sails. You took my thunder. I was waiting for you to stop so I could bring in. So they're bringing West Virginia to Raw now.
But yeah, I mean, it was really. It's like an episode, or it was like reading of Mice and Men, or was it the Grapes of Wrath, or which one was it with Lenny when squeezing the puppy? I mean, come on, really. I don't know, but that's not what happened last week. So maybe we should get the train back on the tracks.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing for sure. We're 2 weeks away from the pay-per-view, right? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So in 2 weeks, we'll know what is really going down for sure.
I think we'll know on Monday night.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think they want to reveal it that soon. I think they want.
I think we'll have an idea.
I think they want
to have an idea.
I think they want to wait until the pay-per-view gets here and then come back Monday night Raw after the event and play it all out. That's right, the geniuses we are. We led you all to believe this and that and whatever the case may be. I think Finn Balor might be on Monday Night Raw. I think that's going to be something they're going to do is bring him on Raw.
Well, they got to do something to get that $9.99 for the pay-per-view.
Well, they haven't advertised $9.99 in quite a while. Maybe Balor will come out with this little demon look he's got, and as he comes out and he's crawling around on his back, he'll have $9.99 painted on there or something.
Or maybe they're going to lower the price to $1.99 to make it more enticing.
I don't know. Well, you know what? I don't know what anybody else says. I don't care what anybody else says. That is my partner included here. I love the WWE Network. It's got a lot of great old stuff I like to watch. I don't care much for the original stuff they put on there. All right, I'm not a big fan. I haven't really watched it. I don't see a point in it. The whole Edge and Christian thing. I'm sure they're funny guys, but I don't want to watch the show. I don't watch the Divas show. I don't really care to see a lot of the stuff they put on there. I did watch the roundtable talks they had with the legends. I thought those were pretty interesting. They had, but that's like me and you sitting here talking. Two legendary people
That's
talking
right.
wrestling. All right, that's what it was. And I like those. But the pay-per-views alone, and the fact you can go back and watch any of them you want, and it's only cost you $10 a month. And there are people out there. I don't know any personally. I wish I did know that could probably show you how to rip each and every one of them right off the web page when they're watching it, and have their own personal DVD of it in their collection at that point.
Probably
but
so.
they paid $9.99 for it though. Hey, they get their money. Now
I will say this: I would love the WWE Network if it worked where I live. I would much rather have a satellite access channel or a cable access channel that works everywhere, because I fall into that. I don't know what it is, 5% or 10% of the population whose internet connection just isn't fast enough. And this is the fastest internet connection that I can get, Chris.
if they had a
That's a
sense,
problem.
if they had a lick of sense right now, as much success they had early with the $9.99 a month, online deal, why they have not taken it to the cable networks and got their commercial money off of some of it too is beyond me. All right, I don't care if you put a commercial on it. All right, if it's on, if it's in a package deal for me in my cable and I can get it, or I can pay $10 a month, like I would pay for HBO or Cinemax or something. And get
Exactly.
that.
I would pay $15. I would pay
Right.
$15 or $20 a month for it. I really
Right.
would.
You would, and if it's like an HBO or a Cinemax bought deal, there'd be no commercials obviously, except your own commercials you put on there like they do. If it's a part of a cable package, like it's a channel like USA or something. Well, what they would do is they would play all the same stuff they play now, play all the old stuff that's available. They'd start some kind of a format kind of thing. During these hours, we'll show some old WCW. During these hours, we'll show some old ECW. This week we're going to show WrestleMania 3 on Thursday night, 7 p.m. Don't miss it. But hey, on Monday night at 7 p.m., Monday Night Raw is on that channel. I'm sorry, not Thursday, but Friday would show WrestleMania 3 because Thursday night is SmackDown. Wednesday
They
is
can't
NXT.
do that, though.
Why not?
They can't, because the way that their contract is written, you can't watch Raw on the network. You have to watch Raw on USA.
See, I did not know that, but I want. Is that because of their contract with USA?
I do believe so.
Because if
I do
that's,
believe.
if that's the case, run it like you're running it now till your contract runs out with Raw, and then say, "See ya, I'm going to my network. I own it. I'm gonna play my own stuff." And
See,
it goes
from
there.
what I've read, Chris, that's how they started out. They wanted to have the WWE network as a satellite access or cable access network, but it didn't pan out. The satellite companies wanted more money than what the WWE wanted, so that's why they left. That's why I can't order pay-per-views anymore, because DirecTV and Dish Network will not carry WWE pay-per-views because of the sour grapes that happened over the whole WWE Network deal. And I've tried the network. I've tried it multiple times to try to watch the pay-per-view, and it's horrendous. It is horrendous for me to try to watch it.
You just can't get a good stream of it. It sounds like basically.
It locks up. It buffers to the point where I've missed entire matches. The last WrestleMania I tried to watch it on. I missed 2 whole matches before I switched over to a less legal form of seeing it. Streaming it live, was more successful streaming it live there than I was on the network. But I still paid my $9.99, so I paid for it. I just couldn't watch it on the network, which was appalling.
And but hopefully that will improve. Technology is out there. Things are going to get better. Now, the fact of whether or not it's going to get better where you are depends on how much closer to town you want to move, and quit living that Ingalls household lifestyle, that little house on the prairie made so famous.
Man, it's more like Walton's Mountain up here, baby. I tell you what.
Walton's Mountain, whatever the case may be, man. Hey, it's 2016. All right, we have running water. Come on down from the mountain. Come on down from the mountain. Water. Yeah.
I even got interwebs. I mean, I have interwebs.
You only got running water because the creek runs downhill.
Everything runs downhill. This is West Virginia. It's all hill.
All right, enough of that, I guess. Then let's get back to Raw. We're getting off track here. Also, Newtworthy of the show.
Newsworthy.
Also newsworthy of Monday Night Raw. We had quite a few other things. 3 matches were announced for the upcoming pay per view. We have at Payback. We have Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. We have Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, which I said earlier I look forward to completely. I love watching those two go at it. They are like, I mean, 2 sticks of dynamite going off on each other. They're wild. Um, and the WWE Women's Champion Charlotte versus Natalya, and Natalya is going to have some help in her corner for a change. Ric Flair can be over there helping Charlotte all he wants, but there is somebody going to be in Natalya's corner to help offset that. I know a lot of people were thinking, hey, maybe the Anvil will show up. You know, it's his
Man,
daughter.
I was so hoping the Anvil was coming.
But the Anvil apparently does not have Bret Hart popularity. That's right. Bret Hart will be in the corner of Natalya in that match. So we'll see how that goes.
If Rick and Charlotte were smart, they'd call Bill Goldberg, because we all know that Bret is afraid of Goldberg.
He might be first row behind him. You never know. Might be a ploy he puts on him. We had Enzo Amore and Big Cass.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to this. Teach that. This was a real surprise to me too, Chris.
Was it really? You think so? I mean, about them middle up or the Vaudevillains getting there?
The Vaudevillains, it being
that surprised me. The
two
Vaudevillains,
new tag teams that have advanced beyond the established guys.
Well, they're wanting to get some new life in the tag scene, which I understand. I'm not saying the Dudleys should be there necessarily. I'm not even saying the Usos should even be there, because the Usos have been there and done it quite a few times already. So, but the thing is, the Vaudevillains. I told you last week. When we were talking about them, I just can't get their style, man. I don't get it. I have a hard time getting into the whole black and white. They come out there like the old circus guys with the little handlebar mustaches, you know, holding their fists out. We're gonna battle the fisticuffs. Come on, you know, put them up.
Hey, that's their gimmick. I mean, I know it's a little too sophisticated and refined for a man of your stature, Chris.
Exactly, man. I mean, hey, just.
I mean, I know that.
You know, it's all you need right there.
It just goes right up over your head like that.
I mean, you may as well come out with a glove and slap them across the face and say, "I challenge you to a duel." I mean, come on. We don't do that these days. We don't get on horses with lances and knock each other off of those either. We don't get in the middle of the open area outside of our cave with big old giant sticks and whop each other in the head till the first man falls over anymore either. You know, it is 2016. It's something new. We don't need the black and white. The look when they come out from there. The goofy looks to them. How do you sell that goofy look? How do you truly merchandise that? I mean, I understand. I told you I thought the whole Bootio thing was stupid when it came out, but let's face it, it is marketable. But how do you market something that looks like it's straight out of the 30s or something? I mean, they belong in a silent film.
I don't know. I mean, you got to remember that the WWE marketed a black leather vest at one point in time by slapping a skull on it and the letters 316. So if there's a will, there's a way, Chris.
I guess I just can't. I can't get into them much, but we had that.
I do like their style in the ring.
I mean, they got some good moves. So they get some decent moves. It's just I have a hard time swallowing the whole gimmick of it. You know, I mean, I don't know, man.
Right, it's kind of cartoonish. It really is.
Not really cartoonish. I mean, New Day is cartoonish to me because their colors they wear and the Bootio thing.
New Day's entertaining.
But they're very entertaining, though. The Vaudevillains aren't even entertaining to me in any way. Nothing they do strikes me as entertaining, fun, funny, laughable. Make me want to watch them next week. Nothing about them screams that at all. Not even when they were with NXT. I didn't like them with NXT either, but that's how it is, you know. They had of course, the Ambrose Asylum was on again this week, not Chris Jericho's highlight reel. And as expected, you know, they after he brought out his first guest, which was Shane McMahon, they talked about some of the things he's done so far since being back and what he wants to accomplish now that he's back. we kind of, as fans, probably all seen it happening. Chris Jericho comes down, Kevin Owens comes down, Sami Zayn comes down. It's just a great big old mess all of a sudden. And all it was what would you say, 15 minutes? 20
Yeah,
minutes?
15, 20 minutes tops.
15, 20 minutes of filler time on the air. They could have done it all in 5 minutes and let Shane McMahon make his announcements of what he was going to do. The crowd would have dug it still. You didn't have to have these guys come out and read these scripts they put out there. He could have simply said, and tonight, not waiting for a payback, but tonight, we're going to have Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn right here in this very ring next, which is what they did anyway. But they could have done that without building up to the thing they did because it was pointless. They were carrying over from, I guess, was it last Thursday or last Monday night? They had
Last Monday night, I do believe.
they had a tag team match, right? It was Ambrose and Zahn. Yeah, they were carrying forward with all of that, and it just, I don't know, it's crazy. But the Sami Zayn or Sami Zayn, Sami Z, we'll call him from now on. I hate his last name, I really do. Sami Z versus Chris Jericho. It was a great match. Jericho got.
We could just call him El
again.
Generico.
We could.
That's it. We're just going to call. He is not Zahn or Zane. He's Generico. From now on, Generico.
Well, what about El Generico though? What do we call him?
He is El Generico. Damn it, Chris.
Oh me. All right, we got. That was the matches that Jericho got over on him there toward the end. We got put the pinfall on him after a thumb to the eye. Jericho got a quick thumb to the eye on him. I think he rolled him up for a pin, if I remember correctly. This is Friday, and we watched it last Monday. So,
yeah, I'm really starting to dig Jericho's latest return with him being kind of like the grumpy old uncle of Monday Night Raw, and
that is what he is. He is the grumpy uncle.
He's a grumpy old uncle. He comes out. He used to be the man, first ever undisputed, world champion. He comes out, and now he's just kind of, get off of my grass.
Exactly. He's the grumpy uncle who's taking the young kids now, trying to set them up on his knee and tell them stories about when he was the man, and maybe pass on some of this wisdom to them. And when he feels like they're disrespecting him, like he feels AJ Styles did, or like Sami Z has done,
El Generico.
El Generico. He is taking it out on them. He's the grumpy old uncle who thinks he can still fight, and he puts up a good fight. He puts on a good show still. I'm with you. I like the fact he's back heel right now. He plays the heel role well. They were in need of someone to hate right now. They really were. You know what? Speaking of someone to hate, who's supposedly coming back as a face, I'm wondering, where is Seth Rollins, man? He was supposed to be back around WrestleMania or just afterwards, like Cena was, and we haven't heard nothing else about him. Are they planning something big, you think, for him? I mean, at a certain pay-per-view coming up in the summer?
Possibly, or it could be the fact that at this point, Chris, they're not really sure what to do with him. Because we got a lot going on right now. And I really don't know where he would fit into this equation.
I am completely looking for Roman Reigns to go ahead and take the heel turn, and they bring him in as the face like they wanted to. They're trying to pull a Shawn Michaels, work him as a heel for a while, get him hated, flip him over, the crowd adores him all of a sudden. That's what I want to see, and I think him and Reigns would have some good matches with each other for a while there. And he may even get the title back. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm really hoping that they kind of give the title to Styles. People really want to see it. I don't think they will, because it's a WWE we're talking about here.
I think it all depends on how they do all the writing, though, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to take Styles of the Bullet Club and make him bad? Are they going to leave him good and then bring Rollins back and make him bad? And leave Roman good, even though he's struggling to get an applause everywhere he goes? I mean, they got a lot of work they got a lot of work ahead they have to do still to make a lot of things work.
I think if they work it, I don't know, maybe they can incorporate Reigns into the new incarnation of whatever club that they're going to work. Maybe that could be his heel turn as well. Maybe we won't even see the Balor Club. Maybe we'll see the Roman Club or the Roman Empire coming in. Maybe these guys are going to get paid off. I don't know. Who knows? It's the WWE. They could have flower power next week. You just don't know with these people.
So you think they might be doing something like him making up his version of the Roman Empire, having them come in and put a quick jump on him. If you notice, they didn't beat him down. They
Right.
jumped in, they knocked him down, they picked him up, and did that one move to him. He's taken
Right. Well, I mean,
he's taken
think
a
about
lot
it.
worse in the past, right?
Yeah, he has. Well, think about it. I mean, you would have the possibility of Roman Reigns, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and the Usos as a stable.
Usos is a bad guy. Now that is something I'd like to see how that would work out because some people just can't pull off the villain, right?
Right.
Some people just can't do it. I wonder how well the Usos could pull off a villain. I really do. And this show brought to you by today, Mountain Dew.
That's goat piss. That's
Ah.
not real Mountain Dew.
Now back to the Usos being bad. I think you could pull it off with them because they're young, for one thing. Okay. As the good guys, they have this arrogance about them already anyway when they come down there because of their bloodline. I think they're going to play, if they were going to do it, they would play the arrogance off of the bloodline and bring in someone like Anderson and Gallows because they know what it's like to be a part of a family of sorts. The Bullet Club was one big family, is what it comes down to. You're not really related, but they're just family, a brotherhood, if you will. And that's how they stuck together all those years. They could bring them in for that very same reason. They jumped to Usos, although they put one big whipping on the Usos, though. And then jump Roman Reigns, and now to have them all together all of a sudden as a master plan, and him turning heel, that would bring so much major heat on Roman Reigns. I can't see how he couldn't get over at that point as a heel.
I'm telling you, it's genius. WWE, I know you're watching because you've taken some of our ideas and you've stolen them, you dirty rats.
Not to mention, you blocked me from putting your videos on here, losers.
Yeah, I mean, come on. All Chris wants to do, all we want to do, is report on your fine product.
Fine product.
And report when it ain't so fine too.
Ain't so fine too. That's right.
Because sometimes it's booty.
Booty. Plain booty. It ain't even
plain booty. Straight up booty.
Straight up plain booty. Nothing nice about it. Alright. Enough of them booty executives. If they do that though, Mike, all seriousness, man, that would be freaking awesome. I don't know. I mean, I would be sitting here, if I see it happening, I would just fall flat out of my chair to the ground going, oh my god, I can't believe we called that. That would
You'd be going, oh my god, I can't believe they actually watched the podcast. Because they can't come up with something that good on their own.
I would like to think, I would hope that they could, but man, you know how these things go. I don't
Chris,
get them.
We've had 3 weeks of Shane McMahon running Raw, but yet he lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Do you think Shane McMahon has watched the podcast in his absence? Because we talked about the things they needed a while back of a brand split or different kind of titles. They need to breathe some fresh air into the product. And even though they haven't done a brand split or brought any extra titles in, Shane McMahon is here now.
They did change the Divas Championship.
They did, and he's talking about nothing but making new stuff going on, making things right for fans and all. Maybe you don't have to have a brand split. I still am a popular believer of a brand split with all the talent they have, because there's so much talent left out there to snatch up and pull in to rebuild NXT. They could do it pretty easily still, I think. But
I think NXT has proven that they can do a brand split, because basically NXT could stand alone. It does stand alone. A lot of times it's better than Raw.
Well, a lot of people think NXT is the brand split. They think that's what it is. They think Raw and SmackDown is together. That's the main roster, and that your other roster is the brand split, and that's where your others are. But let's face it, you're not going to send Chris Jericho to NXT to wrestle, are you? No. You would send him to SmackDown, or you'd keep him on Raw, but you wouldn't send him to the NXT.
Well, yeah, because that's his grass.
It's the same thing. You wouldn't do the same thing back. All right, let's say, for example, let's go Kevin Owens now. He's made such a big name in the main roster now. Would you suddenly send him on to NXT to start fighting against Samoa Joe?
No.
Because people would look at it as a step back.
Right.
They have promoted NXT as being the farm club, the farm league club to the major leagues for them so long now that you can't go back on it. It is what it is, and you do a great job with it. Hey, my hat's off to them on it. But sometimes you have so much talent that you cannot possibly make do with, that you got to have another show of some sort. Maybe you don't do a brand split. Maybe you take SmackDown and you make it to where you only highlight certain people on SmackDown, where you highlight certain people on Raw, and it's not a brand split. It's just who gets on what show, basically. And both are still top shows.
So basically, what you're saying is kind of do what the same thing they tried to avoid with the NWO, just do a brand split but call it something else.
I never looked at NWO like that, because NWO was a brilliant thing at first that went to a stupid
Oh my
writer's dream.
gosh.
They tried. I mean, you come in with 3 or 4 people. I'd say 5 tops. You shouldn't go over that. But 2 people came in to start the war, shocked the world, bringing Hulk Hogan into it. All right, and then you bring in maybe 2 more people. Now X Pac was probably a given because he's a buddy of Hall and Nash's, and then you might have brought in somebody else that's already over in WCW. That would have been a shocker too. Okay, so take your pick of all of them that were there. Say Randy Savage, because they brought Savage into it. Whoever you want to say, they were there now, and left it at that. Instead, they tried to have like 20 people in the NWO and make a roster of NWO versus a roster of WCW. You didn't even have enough people working for the company to make.
I think they even eventually let Disco Inferno in.
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, I think he might have got a piece of the action at the very end, and all you had left was Diamond Dallas Page and Sting, right? And maybe one other person, Roddy Piper.
Larry Zbyszko.
Larry Zbyszko. All right, so Larry Zbyszko, a hero of the past. Roddy Piper, when he was involved with it, hero of the past. DDP, one of the current big names of the business, trying to take it on his shoulders because Sting is nowhere to be found, and suddenly Sting shows back up again. But the thing is, with this though, this is why it's different. They're not forming some big giant roster of NWO type group. What they're doing in this sense would be, if they highlight SmackDown with certain people and highlight Raw with certain people, then you're not really doing a brand split, and you're not really saying you're not worthy of Raw and you're not worthy of this. Because what they could always still flip flop them later on. You could start off.
True.
You could be highlighting the social outcasts along with someone like Goldust and R-Truth and Ryder and The Miz, Cesaro. Cesaro could be your man on SmackDown right there.
Oh,
He could
Cesaro could be your man on Raw.
He could, but I'm just saying, and I'm not saying one's better than the other. They could take Kevin Owens and put him on SmackDown, leading SmackDown. Him and Cesaro could have things back and forth. They could have El Generico come over there to SmackDown as well, and still have plenty of people left to run Raw well. And they could take a couple of tag teams over there. The Vaudevillains could go there to SmackDown along with the Lucha Dragons, along with the Usos. Unless they do what you said earlier about the whole thing. And then you would send someone else, like the Dudleys. Alright? Still, plenty of people who could go. Now, let's say a month later, you haven't had the Usos or the Dudleys or anybody on Raw in that long, and SmackDown hasn't seen one bit of Roman Reigns. Now suddenly Roman Reigns shows up on SmackDown for a few weeks, and somebody else goes back to Raw for a few weeks. But the thing is, you're not doing the same tired bit on Thursday that you were doing on Monday. Right now, they take Monday night show and
Right.
they rehash it on Thursday's show.
But I have noticed that they have started moving away from that here recently.
Not
Another
enough.
thing that you and I have complained about, though, Chris, I'm telling you, man has been watching this. He's been watching us. He must be our number one fan. Thank you, Shane O'Mac. We appreciate the patronage here to the Body Slam the Competition podcast.
Exactly. Appreciation. Matter of fact, well, never mind. I was going to say I'd show them my appreciation by doing a video of you, but we all know we'd get yanked later that night anyway. Back to the show here, because we're getting close to the end of the show here. We had several little small segments that had happened on the show, basically. You had AJ Styles backstage with an interview, and that's when Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson came out and talked to him and thanked him for the good word of getting him in with the company. Furthermore, building up the relationship they supposedly have. Enzo Amore and Big Cass promo. Enzo Amore Big Cass versus the Dudley Boys coming up in that show for the number one contenders tag team tournament. Um, you have let's see here. I got some notes here I'm looking at for a second because when you get older, as I said before, doing a show 4 nights after the fact the show was on is probably not the best idea, folks. But let's face it, in the real world, when we have to work, next night's just not available. You got Styles as talking with Gallows and Anderson about getting their foot in the door in WWE. Anderson said he's been working his entire life to get there. He's never been there, right? Worked his entire life to get there. Gallows said they will make most of the opportunity, and they know Styles will do the same against Roman Reigns at Payback. Anderson jokingly said he wants to be just like Styles when he grows up. The three of them left to go catch up. Amore and Cass did their little stick and said they're like A-cups. They're real when you like them or not.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yes.
Enzo Amore is just a fluidic poet on the mic. He is such a joy.
He is Smack Stalker Skywalker.
Listen.
Let's get that right. He is Smack Stalker Skywalker.
That's what he says. He and Big Cass are as entertaining to me as the New Day.
That could be one of the most entertaining.
It will
feuds.
be the most entertaining feud.
I truly think they're going to put Enzo Amore and Big Cass as number one contenders. I do. I really think they are, and they're going to be going back and forth for a while, many weeks. Embarrassing one another on TV. Probably it's going to be some entertaining stuff out of them. Now you got to end the match with Amore and Big Cass. They did beat the Dudley Boys. Now here's one thing I don't know if it's good or not. Enzo Amore does a lot of the smack talk, right? Does a lot of the trash talk for the tag team, but he also takes most of the damage too.
Mm-hmm.
Bubba Ray Dudley beat him like a redheaded stepchild all over the ring, and then Devon come in and threw him around like a sack of potatoes. All right, they just had their way with him, and then Big Cass gets in. He does his job, and then tags Amore and launches him off the top rope for the splash and the pinfall on Bubba Ray. It doesn't say a lot for Big Cass other than the fact that he's funny when he talks and he's there in the end when it matters. But he's like he's like a punching bag to the match. I'd like to see him get a little more offense in. I know he's small and you want to be kind of believable, but just a little more offense. You gave Rey Mysterio a championship over a giant of some sort. Who was it? He beat for the title.
He beat the Big Show.
Was it the Big Show he beat, or
he
was
did. He
or
beat
was
the
it?
Big Show.
I don't know if it was the Big Show or if it was Batista. I don't remember which it was.
He's beat both of them
for the title.
Yes.
If you can let him get a little offense in, let's give him more. He'll throw him a bone here. Come on. It's stupid. So basically, of course, I thought the match between the Dudleys and Cass and Amore was pretty good. Once again, I'd like to see more offense from Amore. But other than that, it was really good. They didn't do a whole lot of hype and talking on the way to the ring. Not too much. It was just, they said a couple things and they got to business. And that was it. And good match with them. Now you had segment number 6 was Roman Reigns and AJ Styles promo. And I guess that's where Gallows and the guys came in and jumped him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. We're Styles watching from the ramp. So we talked about that already. I won't go back on that again. The segment number 7 was a backstage vignette with Roman Reigns and AJ Styles, where he talked about them jumping him on purpose. Now he didn't believe he had nothing to do with it. And then we had Fandango versus Baron Corbin with Dolph Ziggler on commentary. Do you agree with the whole Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler deal? Does that look like it's even worthy of paying attention to?
No, they dropped the ball on this one, big time. I can't get into Baron Corbin. I don't like the gimmick. I don't know what they're trying to do with him. I hate the way they bury Ziggler all the time. I don't like it at all.
Well, you know who's back off suspension, fresh off suspension? Another one of your favorites.
Mm-hmm.
He could be
Titus O'Neil.
That could be a good fit against Baron Corbin in future weeks if they think about it. big guy versus big guy. I don't want to see another. I mean, the whole thing with Ziggler and Corbin, they don't mesh well together at all. It don't make sense that you could see a Dolph Ziggler coming in consistently and beating this guy. And if that's
No.
how Dolph wants to kick off his comedy career, is his laughable matches with Baron Corbin, that's fine. And when you lose the last time to him, just go out on a blaze of glory and hit the road, start doing your comedy. Don't look back.
Right.
And if you're not, they need to put him in something better. If they need to turn him heel again, turn him heel. Put him against El Generico.
El Generico.
Put him against Cesaro. Put him against. There's plenty of people he could be fighting against right now, and even if you had to turn him heel, big deal. It would make more sense than putting him against someone like Corbin, who is superior athletically to him in all ways and everything. I just don't. I don't like it.
I will say that end of days move is pretty dang impressive.
It is. It's awesome, and the strength he must have, not only in his arm, but in his back, to grab someone like that, look like you're about to slam him down, and then stop. That's where the back has to really catch right there, and pull him back real hard, and do that move, pull that move off. It's awesome the way he can get that. Now, the show I didn't care much for, although it turned into something pretty good, was the little vignette of. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm missing something. Segment 8 was the greetings from Puerto Rico again. I can't really care for those guys too much, but they're bringing them in. And I can't remember their names either. You tell me every week.
Yeah, Primo and Epico.
Primo and Epico, yes. They didn't work the first time. I'm not sure why they're going to work this time. But if they're hoping to put them in to spice up the tag situation for both SmackDown and Raw, I can run with it. I'll give it a chance. Miz and Maurice come out and put themselves over as they start, talking about him and how great he was, and they start making out.
Don't drink that domestic water.
That's right. Cesaro's music hits and comes out there. And they start exchanging well-known movie scene comments, like Miz takes the scene from Taken, but he mizzes it up a little bit, if you will, and puts his own little twist on it. And Cesaro stays pretty plain and quotes Roddy Piper from They Live about he came to kick butt and chew bubblegum.
And he's all out of bubblegum.
He spits the bubblegum out and tells him he's all out of bubblegum. So they're going to start this match, right? You hear the League of Nations come down there. They're talking about wanting to make a match with him, and Cesaro's not stupid. He knows how this goes. I've seen this happen before I even come out here tonight. I knew what was going to happen. If I take this match, it's not only me versus him. It's me versus all of the League of Nations and The Miz. He goes, we're going to take this match. Yeah, the match is going to happen. It's going to be me versus the League of Nations and Miz and my partners of, and whose music hits?
Oh, don't you dare be sour.
Exactly. The New Day come out to the ring.
Right. The hottest thing in WWE today, the New Day.
Tell me that was not probably I'm going to call it next to the Bullet Club guys beating down Reigns. That was the highlight of the show for me right there, that match.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was a great show.
Match was great.
I really like how they're getting Cesaro out of his comfort zone and doing more with him. Cesaro is a wonderful talent. I cannot wait for him to be world champion.
It's got to happen one day. It's
going to happen sooner or later.
There's no way you cannot put the belt on him at one point. There's no way you can't. If you do, it is going to be like a crying shame. He'll be the Roddy Piper of his generation. The one who deserved it at one point in his career and still never got it.
Yes, sir.
Now, after going from there, they go ahead, and I think they have that's about the time where they had the 8-women tag match, I believe. They had a couple more little vignettes where they're showing the matches again, about the ending of the matches, what we just talked about, just seen. They show what happened with Charlotte and Natalya, where Natalya had Charlotte tapping out, but Flair pulled the ref out, and the ref DQ'd him. Now we're having the 8-women tag match. You've got Natalya, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Paige versus Charlotte with Ric Flair, Naomi, Tamina, and Summer Rae. And in this match, at the end of it, you clearly have Natalya throwing a sharpshooter on Charlotte and making her tap out.
Yes, sir.
She tapped as soon as she was in it because she had nowhere to go. Her daddy was blocked off from her. She couldn't reach him, and that was in the story. She taps out and gets rid of that.
Was all
Um,
she wrote.
that's all. And now you got the Usos versus the Vaudevillains for number one contenders tag team tournament in the semifinals. Um, Vaudevillains once again beat the Usos. The Usos.
Getting to be something pretty easy to do. Beat the Usos.
Uh, I guess. Hey, the analysis of this match, now these aren't my notes right here. I took notes and I didn't take so good notes. I didn't really like them, so I just ditched them. I am reading from online here. There was a guy whose analysis of this match says it was a so-so match that the crowd didn't seem to care about at all. Go figure, because once I said the Vaudevillains, hard to get into. The Usos, yesterday's news, no one's into them too much. The Usos are talented to be losing so much, especially to a middling act like the Vaudevillains. That's for the finals of the number one contenders tournament. My guess is that the Dudley Boys get involved and cost Enzo Amore and Big Cass a match against the Vaudevillains. I said last week the WWE should do a profile package on Cruz, but after watching this, I still don't feel like I know who he is and what he's about. And he threw that in there because there was a little thing about Apollo Cruz on there as well versus Heath Slater.
Yeah, he's just. I agree. I mean, I really don't even care to know who he is.
Well, I mean, Apollo Crews, he's a good talent. I like watching him sometimes. He is nowhere on the main roster. He's going to be NXT for a good bit. He needs to stay at NXT. He needs to be one of those guys there that holds the show going there, along with Samoa Joe and whoever else they got in there. They need him there, not on the main roster. He's not. He has no real place there right now.
I agree.
So, and as far as the Dudley Boys costing them, I guess you could do that if you really wanted to, but do you want to rob yourself of having one of the most entertaining feuds between Enzo Amore and the Big Cass and the New Day? Or
if I was right, I wouldn't.
Are they simply looking at it as two tag teams that are considered pretty popular right now and not wanting to pit them against each other?
That could be. That could be. Because you don't have a clear-cut heel here. Because the New Day is no longer a heel faction.
Well, that's true.
They get the biggest pops of the night.
Yeah, they do. And there's no way you can put them over as a heel faction anymore. They've gotten too. That's one of those that just happened by the grace of the fans. They like them too much to be heels. They don't treat them like heels, so the company stopped making them like heels.
It reminds me of the Hollywood Hogan versus The Rock match at whatever WrestleMania it was, where Hogan was supposed to be the heel, and the crowd was not having any of it. So, what was it, like a quarter of the way through the match, Hogan threw the Hollywood gimmick out. He was the old style Hulk Hogan, pandering to the crowd. The Rock was doing his thing as the face, and it was an awesome match still.
Well,
as far as Hulk Hogan matches go.
Yes. And now we have basically segments 15 and 16, Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. Final match of the night, I believe, was Ambrose and Owens, was it not?
I do believe it was actually pretty unremarkable.
From what I can see, yes, looking here, that was the last match of the night. Now, Ambrose versus Owens. Didn't we see that same match the last week on SmackDown? Wasn't that the final match there?
Yeah. It was unremarkable then. It was unremarkable on Monday Night Raw.
It was just a little bit of the same old is what it was. We done seen it.
Yeah.
So
I would have rather had the Cesaro New Day versus League of Nations and The Miz as the final match of the night, because that was the best match of the night as far as male contenders go. The eight lady diva or women's match probably ranked above some of the men's matches as well. But overall, I think it was a great Monday Night Raw, one of the better ones in recent memory.
Yes. And of course, I believe this person writing this kind of agrees with you a little bit. He says, was a good match, but Ambrose and Owens have had better battles with each other. Does make the comment, though, remember when it used to be really hard to beat Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
It used to be a pretty hard thing to do. Now it seems like weekly basis, he's the guy there now who's there to, I don't know if I want to say put somebody over, but he's there to be the one to take that loss if need be.
I have a feeling he's getting Zigglered.
Ooh, oh, that would be a shame to get Ziggler for him at least right now because of where
Hmm.
he's at and what he's capable of doing. I would
But
see.
I have a bad feeling that's what we're seeing, Chris.
I mean, there's so many people. Like I said, that this is why I mentioned earlier. Once again, I'll say it again. Why it'd be nice to highlight certain people on certain shows. Maybe don't do your brand split. You ain't got to call it a brand split, but just highlight certain people on certain shows, and maybe even shorten your material down. I mean, it shows how well NXT does on an hour show each week. It shows how well Ring of Honor does on an hour show. Lucha Underground does great on an hour show. Knock an hour off of Raw, knock an hour off of SmackDown. SmackDown's an hour long show now. Raw's a 2 hour show. Keep a lot of your talents you want on Monday Night Raw, spread them over the 2 hours. Take a little bit of your talent to SmackDown, highlight them there, and you get an hour long show on SmackDown each week now.
Mm.
I think you can pull it off a lot better that
Well,
way. It'll be entertaining.
I think their TV deals have got them locked into their time slots right now, Chris. You said they would have to wait until that was over to renegotiate to be
Well,
able to
man,
do something like that.
if that's the case, I think they do, and I think they need to follow through and do something like it if they really want to build on what they
Or
got going.
or Chris, they could knock an hour off of each show and then have another 2 hour show somewhere else in the week.
No,
They wouldn't necessarily have to
no, no, no.
too much.
Too much. It's
Too
too much.
much.
It's too much right now. That's why I said knock
It
an
is too
hour off
much.
each. I
It
mean,
is too
if you notice, we used to have Raw, SmackDown. There was a show on Saturdays, a show on Sundays, an hour long each. I forget what they're called now.
There
Uh,
was Sunday Night Heat. There
no,
was
no, I'm not talking about.
Velocity.
I'm talking about as of here recent in the last couple of years.
Oh,
Heat's
oh
been
God,
gone
I
for a
don't know.
long time.
He's been gone for a long time. They did do a Superstars show.
Superstars. So yeah, that was one of them. What they need to do is cut back on the hours of the actual shows. Make a once every couple of months or a once a quarter if they want to. Once every 3 months, they could do a Saturday night's main event again like they used to, just like they used to be, and they could have that once, 4 times a year, a Saturday night's main event.
Right.
It's like a free pay per view of a sort. They could do that, but they don't. They have not, and I guess they're not going to do anything like it for quite a while. But that's pretty much the end of the show with that. Did you do you care to talk about SmackDown really this week?
No.
I wasn't very much to go over for SmackDown. I didn't feel like anyways.
I mean, we've put in what now, Chris? About an hour and a few minutes.
Actual blog time or actual podcast time about an hour. So,
So, I
but
mean,
I just don't think we've got anything really from SmackDown that's worthy of
No.
say that we
And I
haven't
did-
that we haven't said already. You know what I mean? We've pretty
Right.
much
And
said it.
I didn't really get the opportunity to watch anything else this week. It's been really crazy here at the house with work and life and that kind of thing. I've got it on the list of things to do. So hopefully I get it done. I really want to watch Lucha.
I say next week. Like I mentioned earlier, we can grab some highlights off of the other shows. We'll grab maybe the highlight of the show from each one. We'll toss it out there. If anything else is notable, we'll talk about it as well. One last thing that we can close the show with, I believe tonight, Mike. We need to close the show with the passing of China. It was kind of unexpected for a lot of people in a way, but still expected by a lot of us because of her lifestyle that she led. But we thought she had cleaned up a little bit because if you remember reading a while back, she had left the States completely and moved to Japan. She lived in Japan for a little while. She was an English teacher of all things in Japan. They got her set up over there. She got a job in there. She was kind of happy for a while. She said it was a great place to live. She loved it. And then she came back over here and started making appearances. Things like, I guess, autograph signings, Comic Cons, or whatever you may have. Whatever the case may be. And I still thought she was clean. I didn't know she'd gotten back in stuff again. I read something the other day. This is before I heard she'd passed away. She was supposed to be at the Dallas Comic Con. Not Comic Con, but WrestleCon. That's just before WrestleMania. It was WrestleMania weekend. She did not show up. The person who was responsible for WrestleCon put a message up apologizing to all the people who had paid in advance to see China. Refunds had been given, were on their way to them and mailed out. He talked about talking to China on the phone the day she wasn't there. She missed her plane. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She sounded drunk and hungover. And he didn't know what to think. And she was wanting money to get tickets so she could hurry up and get there and at least finish the weekend off. In which case, he didn't send her money, but he bought her tickets to pick up at the counter. Uh, she still no showed. Never came to the WrestleCon at all. A couple short weeks later, dead. So I don't know if she's dead from back to her old party stuff. Did she have an OD of some kind? Was it just a straight up health issue that caught up with her? I haven't heard anything truly official yet. Have you heard an official cause of death for her?
I don't think we'll hear an official cause of death for a good long time, but it is very sad, Chris, because um, China opened the door for a lot of women that weren't, you know, supermodel beautiful to get back into the professional wrestling scene because you know as well as I do that the ladies of professional wrestling have evolved over the years. We've gone from the the Killam Gillums and the fabulous Mullahs and such into the what was it the Wendy Richters and Medusas and then into the Trish Stratuses and then but in between there you had the Sables and there was more of a valet that got in the ring every now and then, but then you had China. You had a woman that hung with the men, first woman in the Royal Rumble, first woman to hold the Intercontinental Championship. She had her demons, she had her problems, but you can't blame her for all of it. And there were some obvious cries for help from her in the past that went ignored. And I feel that she was shunned some by people who should have reached out to help when she needed it.
I think she had a raw deal that happened to her that really set things off to begin with whenever she was with Hunter Helmsley in WWE and found out that he was with the boss's daughter behind her back a lot of the time. How he had fell in love with Stephanie McMahon and was leaving her to go to her.
I'm sure that $1 billion didn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure the fact he's marrying into $1 billion family didn't help sway his mind at all. But I mean, the whole thing was that it was a really bad thing backstage. A lot of wrestlers said in interviews. Some were China's friends and said that she was done very wrong back there, and they could say that now that they weren't there no more because when they talked about it outspokenly, when they were there, they said that Hunter would get stuff done about it. He would make mention that they're back there stirring trouble, stirring the pot. Hey, can you do something about this? Next thing you know, they're not on TV for a few weeks. They're not wrestling. And when you're not wrestling, let's face it, you're not getting paid.
That's right.
So, not everybody has the same type of contracts out there. I mean, I don't know if they're said, if you don't wrestle, you don't get paid, or what the case may be, but there was some punishment involved in these things. And the fact that what really gets my goat about the whole situation, it really makes me mad. We've talked about it before about why China isn't in the Hall of Fame, and you've got like Snoop Dogg or somebody else in there who's done equally as bad stuff. They say there was a trust factor. Some people think there's a trust factor that she may get on there. She may show up drunk out of her mind and make a butt out of herself and embarrass the company live in the awards show. But the fact is, now that she's dead, suddenly it's oh my God, it's a shock and a loss to the wrestling world. Stephanie McMahon says she'll truly be missed. But we're going to make money off her name hand over fist from now on.
I guarantee she'll be in the Hall of Fame next year. I guarantee it.
Because
now they can make a dime off of her.
If not next year, but the year after, they're going to make money off her in the Hall of Fame. They're going to start marketing her stuff on WWE Network because she's now passed away. People want to see stuff on her. Hey, remember back when China and Chris Jericho had their bit going on in the Attitude Era? Look back again and watch these segments here, and here she is now. Or hey, remember when she threw so and so out of the Royal Rumble? Check out this Royal Rumble with China.
And I guarantee you, on Monday night they're going to have this whole big thing. They'll have a little memorial for her, just like they do everybody else. And you know what, Chris?
But how big of one?
It pisses me off. They couldn't bring her up when she was alive. They couldn't reach out and help her when she asked for it. And it's out there documented. She reached out and asked for help. She needed help. But
are you as a Vince McMahon or Linda McMahon going to reach out and bring in the woman who has said time and time again she's going to kill their daughter because she took her man from her or something, are you going to be the ones to reach out and help her? I'm not saying they shouldn't have, because she was a product of their company that brought them a lot of money. All you do is you have a program set aside, or you've reached out to programs that help with stuff like this, and you send her to said program for the help. Dan Spivey said himself, over a lot of years, the WWE sent him to rehabilitation for alcoholism, and he finally came out a better man. It didn't take him once, didn't take him twice. It might have taken him 3 or 4 attempts, he said, but they kept working with him and they stayed with him, and he came out. How much money did Dan Spivey, no offense, Dan, I'm not trying to be rude here, but how much money did Dan Spivey make the WWE versus China, do you think, in the long run?
Probably numbers are probably very heavily weighted towards China's favor.
And there's a difference in it, because Dan Spivey was there way earlier in the company where things weren't quite the same. It was the first or second WrestleMania time or something, his first run there.
I think so.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, somewhere there or
His
later.
Waylon Mercy gimmick was a little bit later on.
Yeah, it's where he came back.
Probably.
He came back
That's
as
when he
Waylon.
came back.
And if he had just been there a little bit longer when the Attitude Era kicked in, Waylon Mercy might have taken off even more.
He might have.
I don't know. But the fact is, he put in some time early on. He wasn't there for his career, but he made a little money for him. And I mean, just a little money, because she made a ton. She was there for her career until they
An
chased
original member of the Generation X.
her. Right, until they chased her off, and she went to TNA with Mick Foley. And that didn't last real long. So, that's the only thing about TNA you'll hear mentioned tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
So, that's what happened with that. So now that she's gone, nothing can be done. But yeah, they could have and should have reached out to her and offered help on the fact that she needed to get those demons out of her head and off.
It's a terrible loss, Chris. It really is. It is a terrible loss. I mean, I grew up watching China. I thought she was, she was this beast of a woman, and you knew most women didn't look like that. Most women aren't 5'10" and bench press 350 or 325 pounds, but that woman could and was able to. And then she got in the ring and she wrestled, and she won the Intercontinental title, not once but twice, or maybe even 3 times.
I don't remember how many times. I know she held it, but
And she co-held it with Chris Jericho.
I can see Monday night now they'll have what they'll call a the little 10 bell or the little bells, where 10 or 12 bell salute, whatever it is. They will ring it for the bell for her, and that's probably going to be about it. You might see some people on stage. I don't know if you really will or not. Blackjack Mulligan was huge,
I bet you.
and Blackjack Mulligan just got a small memorial on the table, and then we're giving a moment of silence for him, I believe.
But I bet you they find the most unflattering picture of her to use too at the memorial. They'll find the really manned up China that that we remember, not the feminization China that came later on, back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, you saw the picture that I shared the other day when I put it out
Yes.
there. All right, that was not one of her better pictures either, but that's what they had.
Right.
That's what they had on their webpage.
Right.
So that's exactly what you're talking about. It's right. It's already happened already. Why not go ahead and redo it again on Monday Night Raw? And
Right.
if you see them come out on the stage, I mean, there's not many people that were there when she was there anymore. If you see them come out, I bet you won't see in the front of the line Triple H and Stephanie. They'll probably be in the back somewhere behind people, trying to hide themselves. So I wouldn't doubt it.
You know what, Chris? And I'm gonna go out and say that I will not purchase anything China that the WWE license after this. I won't do it because I don't want them making money off of her. I would rather go and purchase 4 or 5 copies of her extracurricular videos. I don't have to watch them, but I'd rather that somebody who has the rights to them and her family get that money than the WWE.
I don't know that the family gets that money either. Depends on what kind of deal she got when she made that with that company and how much she was drinking.
Maybe
at the time.
maybe I'll research who gets the money before I go spending my money
Exactly.
on videos that I will never watch and hope to God no one else ever does.
Right. All right, well, Mike, I think it about wraps us up for the week, man. We've covered all of Monday Night Raw. We had there's nothing on SmackDown to really cover. We've got the hour in here. Next week, everybody will come back with a little bit of more of a twist to the show. We're gonna touch on some highlights of the other shows, but we'll mainly be the Monday Night Raw focus here of what's going on. And if anything other spectacular comes out and stands out, we may substitute some of Raw for that instead. We'll see how it turns out. But in the meantime, between now and next week, make sure you're going to the website. Check out our audio podcast from last week with Randy Hales. If you get a chance, that was a great podcast we did. He and I talked for about an hour and 40 minutes. It was that great. The man is a former owner of a wrestling company. He has helped run one as a general manager. He has been a writer, not a writer, really, because back then they were bookers. So he was a booker, promoter. He's been on the commentating desk, commentating matches. He's announced at a young age when they come to the ring. He's participated in some small events where he's had fire thrown in his face by some of the wrestlers and, slammed down to get the attention. It's a great interview. If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. He's a wealth of knowledge about yesteryear and today, and gives his opinion on why he thinks some of the things happen today the way they do that we all complain about. It's definitely worth the time if you get a chance to sit down and listen to it. Please do so. And don't forget to hit us up on YouTube where this will be. Check out our other videos. Like them. Thumbs up. Comment. Always comment. If you don't comment, we don't know if we're doing good or bad. But if you do comment, if you want to comment bad, please make it bad, directed toward the show. And don't come up with the usual lame, you suck. Tell us why we suck, okay? At least.
And don't tell us we're gay. God, come on,
really,
tell me what we can do to make it better for you. Why? Tell me what you want to do what you want to see. Do you want Chris to go topless? Would that help? Oh no! Don't do it! Don't do it!
All right.
The world's not.
We're not gonna find out if that'll help either, unfortunately. So, check us out on Twitter as well. Handle at BodySlamTheComp. We are on Facebook with a very fun group page now, as well as a like page. Just request to join the group, and I will put you in there myself. We have polls that go on there sometimes. Once I reach a certain number of people in the group, we are going to start doing some giveaways in there. Right now, it's still fairly new compared to the like page. We're pushing 300 likes on the like page right now, only at about 60 or 65 people, I think, in the actual group. So the group's brand new, though. So go check out the group. Request to join. I'll have you in there. And when we get in there, we will be having some fun contests and giveaways. That includes anything from DVDs to WWE action figures, maybe an autographed picture of somebody like myself or Mike, or an actual wrestler.
That's right.
An actual wrestler, that'd be great.
Oh, who wants that? They got us.
We'll
make sure you ain't booty.
I will definitely scribble my name on a picture and put $10 on it for you and say, hey, $10, here's my picture. Or I may have to pay you $10 to take my autograph picture. I don't know.
I was gonna say, mine's 15.
But either way it goes, definitely join up with us on the social networking. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on out there every day, as we do when news occurs in the wrestling industry. And at the end of the week, we will get together and we'll talk about it some more. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and leave. Mike, I hope you have a good weekend. Everybody here, continue to like wrestling. Mike, you've got something to say as always. I know you do. Close this out for the week.
Rocks. New day rocks. New day rocks. All right, Chris.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend. Mike, I'll catch you next time around. Goodbye.
All right, man.